I am Erin and welcome to Art Talks, the part of my channel where I pause my DIY instructions and instead share some opinions I have about art. A lot of the information I'm going to talk about today is from a New York Times article that I'm going to add to the description if you're interested. This is also just a topic that I think about a lot and have gone to different question and answer opportunities to listen to Black creators in the city talking about their experiences with this. So yeah, when I say gatekeeping, there are a few different ways that gatekeeping comes into play in the theater industry. Most theaters function with a board at the top who makes decisions on what plays get chosen, who is directing them, who's getting paid and what, who's getting cast. Basically the root of most of these questions comes down to this board. Historically, this board has been made out of members that also are responsible for funding this theater, which is, great because our government doesn't give arts enough money, so we have to rely often on independent donors for that funding. However, because of the economic disenfranchisement of our country, normally the members of that board are white people, specifically white men, many of whom, especially in the recent year, might preach solidarity, might preach trying to elevate Black voices, but the fact is it's much easier for a company to publish a paper saying those things than it is for them to actually put Black people in that position of power, which is what they would be doing if they actually meant what they were saying. What plays are going to get chosen and for what venues? Some theater companies have multiple venues, normally a larger venue and a smaller venue. According to the New York Times article, when you statistically look at playwrights who run either the Pulitzer Prize or the Genius Grant, these playwrights, if they are Black, are statistically more likely to be put in a smaller venue than to be put on in the larger venue. This is a problem for a lot of reasons, obviously. One of them is pay, the other is work exposure. I think we can all agree this is problematic. For many of us, when we think about what plays are our favorite, what art in general are our favorite, sometimes we gear towards art that we see ourselves the most in. In some ways, if there wasn't power involved, it wouldn't be so problematic that board members, unchecked, primarily choose white theater, white written, white centralizing theater, because they do see themselves in it. However, if you are in that role and you aren't thinking about representation, then you are actively being complicit in a system that has silenced Black artists and Black voices for the last 400 years. Even if a Black playwright's work gets put on by a very large venue, gets cast in a responsible way, there's still no promise that the audience will respond well to it, especially if this is a primarily white institution that has a primarily white audience. That play might get less good reviews, not because of the quality or the workmanship or its relevance or importance, but because of the audience's inability to understand that importance and value that importance. While it's at the same time important for white institutions to diversify their boards in order to change what work is getting put on and by who in their venues, there's just as much push for instead funneling that funding into theater companies that are already Black run. August Wilson, really famous Black playwright from Pittsburgh, has a speech in which he says the quote, "If you do not know, I will tell you, Black theater in America is alive. It is vibrant. It is vital. It just isn't funded." If you enjoyed these thoughts, please consider liking or subscribing. Please just go fund a theater.